Hey, what's up, internet friends around the globe, mostly Australia, United States? Welcome to the third episode of UFO Twitter News Nightly. I'm your host, TeeJay Felony, and we are back for some meaningless discussions about all kinds of stuff. Lots of things happening in the world of ufology, actually. Lots going on. It's been kind of a dead dead spot in the activity in that uh, genre and field lately, and then things kind of took off. And one of the things going on is this, they call him the UFO general. He's gone missing, and there's all kinds of, rumors and theories on what happened to this general. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but my main theme over the last couple episodes is gonna be my favorite content creators, um, who I really appreciate in the genre of content creation, and we're gonna focus on one of those a little bit later. It's my interest in the field of true crime, and surprisingly, it involves a case with a known member of UFO Twitter, a guy that is butted heads with the members of the Tupacruje group. You're going to get the true story. If you heard anything about this specific member of UFO Twitter, I got a true crime case we're going to go over, and it's his story, so you'll have the real information on that. What's up, Rotary? We're going to talk a little bit about the bullshit illegal war in Iran and just what's been going on lately. First off, let's jump over to the lab. A couple things I wanted to talk about there. And yeah, appreciate anyone stopping by. If you come in late and don't watch live, please subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. I added the corny music to the beginning, which is fun, and things will just start to improve. I got a new method on the chat messages popping up. That's gonna be better here. This is a little clunky what I got going now, and actually to remind me, I'm gonna go ahead and jump over onto my YouTube account and get that going. So give me 1 second here. This is this is like the awkward part about this process is when you start a new stream, you have to go into YouTube and actually copy the URL and bring it over. And as far as I found, there's no way around doing it other than doing it live while you're in your podcast. So no matter what you do, you have to kind of stop your your stream and do this shit, which is just awkward. You have to replace the URL. Now I heard there's Streamlabs or Streamster is the app, and it'll do it for you automatically when you start a new stream. So there you see it just popped up, and we'll pop it to the lab here. And yeah, let me adjust this. There you see, Felony Vlog Rise Up. What's up, Red Panda Koala? I was just about to talk about you a little bit in this space, bro. We just got out of this UFO Twitter space here. I'm gonna pull it over because, dude, the people on the speaker panel was pretty wild. Look at this. So it was a space by Interstellar, J Just were hosting it. Carlos and Panda was there. Gabe was there. LM, the guy that spread the lies about Sawant for Panda and Tuba, he was there. And Fessler was there. It was just an interesting mix of people. People you wouldn't normally catch all at a space together, which I always think love those situations. But Grider, little wanker that he is, came up in and started attacking Tio and kind of derailed it at one time. Tupa came in and started interrupting everyone because he can't stand when he ain't the center of attention. And it doesn't show that this space is recorded, unfortunately. But I have many friends of the show now, and one of them recorded the entire space. So tomorrow's episode, we're gonna go over this space right here, and there was a lot of wild shit in it, including Moneypenny coming up and claiming that she's leaving the community of UFO Twitter, and that the main reason she's leaving is because of this guy right here, Red Panda Koala, and Chris, the average Chris. They were talking about that, but I don't want to spoil it. We'll go over it. We'll go over it all tomorrow because I think it'll make for a good episode. We're gonna go over this entire space tomorrow, and LM and Mike Disclosure apparently got to have words after I left, and yeah, it should be pretty good. I'm gonna talk a little bit about world events before we get going on anything else. Um, Trump's illegal war in Iran continues to rage. Let me pop open my bullshit here. Oh, and also, Tupa, when he came up in that space, his first order of business was to remind everyone that I'm in drug treatment on methadone maintenance, and that'll be funny to listen to also. One of the things that's been happening a lot in the past couple days is what they call it, celestial activity, asteroids. People are spotting a lot of
Even
these
New York
meteors
reporting
and
hearing a
asteroids.
huge
They're
boom
catching them
from
on
this.
camera,
It was captured
and
on this Ring security camera.
it's getting
Right
a
above the
lot of
site in the
attention
skies
in
over
the
northeast
ufology
Ohio just
field.
a
They're getting
few hours
mislabeled
ago.
as
Take a look. This was
ufology
posted to
events.
social media by the superintendent of
But
Olmsted
it is
Falls Schools. That's
strange
near
that
Cleveland.
there's
It was
so
captured
many
from a
of them.
camera
Like,
on
look,
their
here's
bus door.
another one. Look at all the states it lists. And people are calling them fireballs in the sky. Of course, Ryan Bledsoe is going nutty about it and making all kinds of biblical prophecies. But here's another one. Look at this one. Uh, they look weird when they're coming towards you. See, like that one, it was coming towards, and then I think, whoa, man, look at that one. If that's not AI, that's strange, bro. Look, that thing changed course. Now, there is, you gotta understand that the planet is moving. So, there is a phenomena where it looks like it changes course, but that's just because of your position on the Earth. See, look how it wraps right here. But that thing looks like it's moving, dude. Like that one, yeah, it wraps around. That's kind of wild. That one's strange. There's quite a few of them. People are posting them, and Ryan Bledsoe is getting all nutty about it. Here's the general. They're calling him the UFO general. He's gone missing. Um, here's a story about him. Let's.
Somehow. Even if you're a UFO skeptic, it's hard not to be curious about another strange aspect of this case. A former colleague of General
All right, let's
McCaslin oversaw a highly classified program linked to UFO research, and many are wondering if that secretive work past and researching UFOs could have made him a target somehow. Even if you're a UFO skeptic, it's hard not to be curious about another strange aspect of this case. A former colleague of General McCaslin's, who also disappeared, also
Wow.
under strange circumstances last
Monica
summer.
Reza.
Is it all a coincidence? Let's go to Alex Capriello live in Albuquerque, New
Hiking.
Mexico. Alex, what are you hearing about not one but two disappearances?
While hiking.
Yeah, very strange, Elizabeth. We've been spending the day digging into this missing persons case of Monica Reza. She vanished off the face of the earth about 9 months ago, last seen hiking in the Los Angeles forest with a companion. By all accounts, everything seemed normal that day. She was about 30 feet behind that person she was hiking with, smiling and waving. He turned around. Next thing you know, she was just completely gone.
Wow. Did you hear that, bro? She was there 1 second with her buddy. He turns around and then turns back around and poof. You know, that's wild.
Spent days looking for her, but actually never recovered her body. But what's so interesting
Never
about this
recovered a
story,
body.
Elizabeth, is that she is essentially connected with General McCaslin right here in New Mexico. She's an aerospace engineer, and she developed a special metal that was used in rockets. It was a project that the U.S. government funded and something that was overseen by the general. And now, all within less than 1 year, both of them have essentially vanished off the face of the earth. We don't know whether or not these missing persons cases are connected at this point. But I did tip off the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Department about it, asked if this was a lead that they were investigating, and we're still waiting to hear back.
That's crazy, man. I mean, they're definitely connected. I wonder about energy companies. You know, if if a scientific breakthrough is made that is gonna change anything like energy, maybe make fossil fuels obsolete, you would have attempts to try to suppress that technology from advancing. It almost reminds me of Terminator 2, where Sarah Connor is hunting down Miles Dyson, you know, to stop the advancement of the Terminator machines. Let's see. Yeah, we'll come back to this stuff. We got Burleson here.
to
So
not reach out to I was told that there were two names on a list of people that I was looking through that would that to and I was warned to not reach out to those individuals because they have the capabilities and would have no problem having someone like me killed. I was told that there were two names on a list of
the reason I found this interesting wasn't because of represent what he was saying, what Burleson's saying. It was the reaction from the community. Um, I wanted to open this. There were a lot of people being pretty critical of him. And and it just seemed kind of strange. Like that's what I would stay away from. And dude, I'm the biggest troll on UFO Twitter, and I wouldn't get in. Dude, you're not gonna see me in there talking shit to that guy about that. It was weird how the community was kind of clowning him in his early comments. I saw Gabe in there responding to somebody. Weaponized dropped this shit, and I never did see a new episode come out. It was 4 days ago was the Burleson interview, so I never like figured out if they were talking about the Burleson interview because he says we'll drop today, and this 17th. And the only thing I saw on the weaponized, and he said we'll post a link. I went to his channel, but it was supposed to be a huge deal, and I didn't hear anything about it. I imagine it was the Burleson thing. Oh, that I'm gonna do the jelly roll thing at the end. I got a thing about jelly roll that's really funny too, but we'll save that for the end. Where's my bookmarks? Hmm. All right, well I'm gonna jump back over here because there was one thing I wanted to say really quick. Um, I wanted to talk about content creators for a second, and there's a content creator around UFO Twitter. Here I'll come over here. Her name's Alien Girl is what I knew her as, cause her first show was Alien Girl 111. Now it's Good Morning UFO, and here she is dancing with Bigfoot Marketing Monkey. Um, I never meant anything like to make Amy feel bad about the stuff I was saying about her numbers compared to mine. What caused that reaction is when I first started making videos, I was getting a lot of shit from Panda and Chase and these guys about my videos. And dude, I'm talking about like the first videos I ever put out. Like I'm still learning everything, and I'm getting jokes about like, oh, go make your videos for your 40 viewers and stuff. And what I said to defend myself eventually was, dude, I've been doing this for a couple months and my numbers are already comparable to Alien Girls. And that was kind of taken and twisted in way like where I'm trying to say that I'm better at content creation than Amy or something. And I just want to say it was never meant to be saying like that. It was like, why are you guys blowing me shit when I'm a brand new content creator about my numbers when she's been doing this for years and our numbers are similar, so like what are you guys doing? And I probably shouldn't have said that, but I would never want to like say something that would encourage or try to discourage a content creator from making videos and stuff. Like looking back on it and like thinking about it, I feel bad because I don't want to make Alien Girl feel like, well, should I stop making videos? That makes me feel bad to think about if that did ever, come into her mind. It was more of me trying to just defend myself, and Alien Girl's numbers kind of got pulled into it, but I probably shouldn't have said that, but it wasn't an attack on Alien Girl in any way or her numbers. And I just it takes a lot of like balls and courage just to go out and make content and put your even especially to put your real image out on YouTube. And if you noticed on UFO Twitter, it was a rare thing. Like for a long time, nobody put in. Amy was one of the first that was out there putting herself and her opinions out there and out front, and I think that's respectful, and I have respect for all content creators, and I want more people to make content, not people to be afraid because they're going to get criticized or shit talked to them, because to get to 10,000 viewers, you got to go through 50 viewers. And that's kind of all I was saying. But I apologize to Alien Girl if that shit was, made you feel bad about your channel or anything. That was never the meaning. It was just me defending myself from, the real hate group on UFO Twitter, but that's a whole nother story. When that shit is happening to me, I was thinking about it logically and mathematically. I was thinking, well, how in the world do you get to thousands of views without going through 50? Like, do people leapfrog over the 100 and 200 views? And I guess if you're kind of just like pulled into it, you could do that. Uh, or if like if you have a big support system coming in, you can probably leapfrog, Um, I heard Cambion talking during his show about how they helped Alien Girl get monetized. They during their show, we did it with a guy last night during the show. And that's what a lot of that's what it takes, man, is to have people help you and pull you up. If your community doesn't really support you, it's going to be tough. Dude, I don't know where my damn bookmarks went. I had my bookmarks right here, and then they're gone all of a sudden. Oh, there it is. Alright. There were a couple videos I wanted to talk about. So Trump said a few times in interviews and when he's getting barraged by journalists that nobody had any clue that Iran was going to close the Strait of Hormuz. And they started asking Tulsi about it. And we're going to go ahead and play it. I wanted you to see this.
Were you asked on Director Gabbard, you tweeted yesterday that President Trump concluded there was an imminent threat and made a decision to attack Iran after carefully reviewing all of the information before him. I think the country deserves to know what the information was. I'm going to ask a series of questions and just want a yes or no. We don't need any explanation, just yes or no, starting with, were you asked, I'm not asking if you did brief this, were you asked to brief on whether Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz?
I'm not going to comment on what the president did or didn't ask me.
Oh, man. What do you mean you're not going to comment? Like, this is what they do.
On any topic.
I'm not asking if you briefed it. I'm just asking if there was a request.
I understand
by the White
that.
House. Director Ratcliffe, were you asked to brief on whether Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz?
The briefings to the president and the White House typically don't come at the request of the White House. So typically when we get intelligence that we want the president to be aware of, the intelligence community brings that to the president.
Did you produce the analysis for the Straits of Hormuz?
There has been and continues to be analysis with respect to that.
Were you asked to brief on how our adversaries and allies would respond to the war in Iran? I imagine I'll get the same answer. So it's just to point out here, it's challenging to forget about actually what was in the brief for a second. We're having a hard time finding out not only if you briefed the president on something, but even if the White House asked if they could be briefed on something or if analysis was produced. So I just want to point out here, this is about 6 days.
Can I comment on
Yes.
that?
Yes.
I go back to the point. It's the same approach that we took to the prior operations, which to your credit, Senator, you have praised the intelligence and military communities in Operation Midnight Hammer and Operation Absolute Resolve. It's the same approach and the same professionals in terms of how they approached this particular operation.
We're trying to figure out if the president knew what the
They always, dude, okay, this is MAGA's tactic. This is their strategy right now, is to drive a wedge between the United States military and the Democratic Party. It's everything is focused on that right now. All their goofy propaganda on Twitter, it's, Democrats angry that the soldiers got steak and lobsters. It's a barrage, and it seems to be the entire strategy, and that's scaring the shit out of me, because what Trump's going to try to do is use the military to hold on to power. The Democrats don't care about the military. You need to trust me, the guy that dodged the draft 4 times during war times.
Downside was of the Strait of Hormuz being closed. And I'm having a hard time finding out whether the White House asked or whether there was.
And you got to keep in mind, when Trump took power, when he took office, he did a purge. He did a purge based on the DEI shit, and he purged all the generals and rose up, so he could pull it off. It's a coup, is what it is.
Was a brief, whether the president knew. Did he know this was going to happen, or did he just disregard it?
Yeah, and what they're trying to do is get him like, oh, he lied, he lied. We're well past that. They're thinking strategy back like Clinton days, where, oh, if we can find out he lied, they don't care that the man lies. Get the fuck out of here. This is good trouble show. I thought this was really interesting, and I'll explain why.
In the agency and within state
They're talking about the weapons, Havana syndrome, directed energy weapons.
To outside source. Let me move on for just a minute. Director Ratcliffe, let me just ask you this, because there's been a discussion, and we've never been able to talk about this in an unclassified setting, and I recognize it's sensitive, but 60 Minutes, there's been a report about Havana syndrome and about individuals who are within the agency and within state departments that have actually had significant illnesses, some attributed, they believe, to outside sources. I don't think we have been able to, in an unclassified setting, at least acknowledge that we take these issues seriously. Is there anything you can share in this unclassified setting to assure the people of the State Department and your agency that this is not something which is being ignored?
Thanks for the question. I can. I appreciate the opportunity to address that. Yes, we have to be careful about what we can say, and we can go into further detail in the classified session. But this is something that when I became the director, as you're aware, Senator, there are disparate opinions across the IC about what the cause of these AHIs may or may not be.
Oh, come on.
Havana syndrome.
Well,
they know what it
syndrome,
is.
Yeah, or, and the question of whether or not
it's advanced weaponry,
a directed energy weapon from a foreign adversary. So when you, having been the DNI, understanding the role of the DNI is to coordinate across the IC when there are disparate opinions among agencies. Director Gabbard and I had a conversation where she agreed that she would undertake a comprehensive review of that issue across the IC to make sure that it is getting the attention that it deserves. And I know that she has undertaken that and will be able to brief you in further detail in the classified session.
That's the problem. It all leads to these.
General Hartman,
Gabbard.
Your time in service.
Gabbard will let you know.
Very, very special. Working with you on the Cyber Security Subcommittee of the Armed Services.
Go ask
Committee,
Pam Bondi.
I commend you for everything you have done. You are truly a hero, and you have served your country very, very well. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, okay. Why I found this kind of strange is when we assaulted Venezuela and grabbed Maduro and his wife, it was almost like common knowledge that we used some kind of directed energy weapon. There were shows on the Venezuelan side where they were talking about this weapon. We were talking about it, so it's almost like they backtracked it. Like now we're back to not being sure. Like it's. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and give over to the YouTube stuff I wanted to show. Here, let's oh, okay, this is Ryan Bledsoe.
Control over what we believe. It's a common thing to see in the news. They want to control our belief system. They want to control the way we think and the way we worship and so on. So yeah, why not scare people?
You know what's kind of interesting is Ryan wants to call them angels, and Chris doesn't want to for some reason.
People into something they don't want you involved in. But if you were on my property or I was at your house and I stood out beside you and said a prayer and asked the Holy Spirit to reveal her presence to us, and suddenly these balls.
Oh, this is cool too. This is from my friend Interstellar UAP. He was the one hosting that space that I'm gonna go over tomorrow. And yeah, this guy was on the scene at the Roswell crash.
Post-duty officer means that
Allegedly.
I just come back from Italy. I've been chief of security intelligence in Rome. And in the intelligence business, I was trained really by the British. I was an MI-19. So when I came back, I went to Fort Riley, Kansas. One night, I was a post-duty officer. Post-duty officer means that I was in control. For that night, I was the one that checked all the guards, checked all security areas. In fact, checked the whole post. I was the duty officer that night. And I went to the veterinarian section. A sergeant I knew very well was sergeant of the guard that night. I told him, Sarge, how's everything around here? And he said, fine, sir. I told him, you know, they told me to be careful to watch this area because you have a sense of something sensitive here. He said, you want to see it, sir? I told him, yeah, let's go look. And I knew this sergeant very, he was a master sergeant. I went back and there was 5 crates there, like 5 or 6, I think it was 5. I lifted one up and here's this body there and floating in fluid.
Broken Hip, you hadn't come in yet. I played a video about the general, the UFO general, and there's a lady that worked with him that's missing now, that went missing months ago, hiking, the same thing. And she worked on exotic metals, the same stuff. She worked under him, under the UFO general, and she went missing pretty much the exact same way, hiking.
And
he said like 9 months ago.
About 10, 15 seconds, not much more than that. So
I don't think you had come in yet.
Come on, get out of here now. I don't want to get you in trouble. Because I'm the duty officer. I can go around, walk around here. But you might get in trouble for coming back. Just come on, let's go.
I consider this a deathbed confession. That's why it's kind of interesting. These older men, you wonder why they would lie about stuff.
Well, come out with me. So we went out, and I told him, where did it come from, Sarge? He said, well, 5 trucks coming through here from an airfield in New Mexico, and they're heading for Wright-Patterson Air Force. So, and I started to figure, what was that?
New Mexico.
First I thought it was
Roswell.
A child, because it was small. Then I looked at this head and all, right away, and this was only happened in a matter of seconds. Then I put the end back down. The head was different, the arms were spindly, the body it was gray. So right at that moment, I figured, I don't know.
Well, a body submerged in water for a period of time will turn gray.
What this thing is. So like in the intelligence business, I just better put it in the back of my head here and wait to maybe in the future I get corroboration so I can evaluate what it is. I was 4 years at the White House and I kept getting reports there. But they were just reports. They just were sporadic reports that came through. Of course, I had all the clearances, so I'd get them. And I did get one time a report that NSA was getting signals from space, which were not just space noise, or something you couldn't read. They were really very perfect and looked like something was guiding them. There was a real message, but we were never able to decode it.
You're talking about the WOW signal.
A very coordinated message. It wasn't space noise or jumbo mumbo or anything like that, or just noise coming. It was a pattern. When I came back, General Trudeau pulled me in.
I'm pretty sure he was referencing the WOW signal, the set he picked up, and the guy that was monitoring the machine wrote WOW in the margins, so it became the WOW signal. And a lot of scientists consider that to be the only real proof of extraterrestrial life, because I guess it's a signal that couldn't have been created artificially. They claim it wasn't space noise. Someone made it, kind of like a beacon going out.
He had reorganized research and development from a
That's
secondary
common
mission
knowledge
logistics.
shit, though.
Then he created the Foreign Technology Division about a week later and put me in charge of it. There I started getting autopsy reports. I started getting other crash reports, the artifacts I got. When I came to research and development, which was 14 years later, by the way, I inherited all these artifacts.
Yeah, it's a cool
and I
story.
inherited reports, autopsy reports from Walter Reed.
It's real, too.
Hospital.
It's true.
Now, Walter Reed, there was a laboratory there, which was our laboratory, and we financed. That's who did the autopsies for us. So there I started getting indication, proof that a crash really happened here. As I say, I had the evidence that a crash did happen here.
If you only had a moment to speak in open congressional hearings to discuss what happened 50 years ago, what would you say?
I say it happened, and I'd add on to that. Give us information to the young people of the world in this country.
Wow.
They want to hear it. They want it. Give it to them. Don't hide it and tell lies and make stories. They're not stupid. They're not young men that'll panic. Why do you think they'll panic? They want this information. They deserve it. It's their information. It doesn't belong to the Army or the Department of Defense.
Dude.
It's theirs. If it's
That's
classified,
inspirational.
take the classification off and give it to them. Well, the head really wasn't that big, but in portions of the body, a small body, it looked big. And the eyes, there was no nose or anything like that. It had spindly legs. So that was about it, because I didn't have any autopsies. And I just put it off, because I figured, well, maybe someday I'll get corroboration and be able to evaluate. Later, I got my hands on the autopsy report in 1961 when I took charge of the Foreign Technology Division.
It's interesting, man. There's a
light comes out of the sky.
There's a Twitter space going still, I think, and they had like all the podcasters up in there, and Fessler was up in there, and so I'm not surprised that we're not getting a lot of people coming in. I was in there too. That's the space I'm gonna go over. Yeah, look, I learned how to bookmark. I don't know. There's not much up in here. I wanted to go. I'm gonna pop over on YouTube, and we're gonna go over one of my favorite YouTube channels, and that's where I came across the case that includes and somebody from the community, and there's been lies told about it, about him, and it'll show, the truth about what really happened, which I think is always important, especially when you're dealing with misinformation agents like chupacabras and red panda koalas. Let me see how I get over to my saved videos. Mixes. Okay, yeah, this is another. Let me see. Oh, playlist. Sorry, I'm high. Pods.
Donald Trump is panicking as his top generals and admirals want him to end this disastrous war in Iran right now. In their daily briefings to Donald Trump about the status of this disastrous war in Iran, they keep on slipping into.
First off, this is probably the most important YouTube channel in my life right now. This is Midas Touch News. It's the most popular news source on the planet right now. They'll post one of these things and it'll have, hundreds of thousands of views within an hour. So it gives me hope because so many people follow this news source. And what they specialize is covering everything that the Donald Trump regime puts out, so you don't have to follow it. You ain't got to dip into Fox News. You can get it from here. But you do have to recognize that it is an anti-Trump message. So you do, and he'll even admit, Ben will even admit it probably.
To his daily war planning, options for how to get out of this war right now. Here's what NBC is exclusively reporting. These top military generals and admirals continue to include these options in their regular war planning about how to end this conflict. Now, we know that Donald Trump doesn't read, though, so that's a big problem. What these
the big news from today was a natural gas plant in Iran, a massive natural gas plant, was hit, and Israel took credit for it but said we helped them, and that's considered to most civilian infrastructure. And that's the big news from the day, was this natural gas plant getting wiped out. And yeah, it's a major escalation of the war is what it is. The other channel I was going to showcase is Explore With Us, and this is my interest in true crime cases, and I probably am more interested in true crime than I am the UFO topic, ufology, and all that crap. I watch way more true crime content than anything else, and why Explore With Us is so badass is because they'll show you the entire interrogations. They don't like cut it in ways where with like what they think is important, like a lot of channels do. They just show you the whole thing and they add little details to it. And yeah, I'm just gonna show a couple of the main ones, and then we'll do a deep dive on the episode that I wanted to go over. And this is fair use. I'm informing the public about these teen murder cases.
The detective attempts to figure out if there were any
This
issues
kid became famous after. Dr. Phil did an interview with this kid, and it was because of the way he talked. All right now. It's having a hard time going back to the beginning of that video. Bro, that is lagging like crazy. I wonder why it's doing that. There it goes. Yeah, I'm froze. Oh man. Let's see. Page unresponsive. Ah, snappy. I've never seen that all snap thing.
Hit with it 12 times.
Alright,
What
let's
do you think?
pause it first, and then we'll pull it back. We learning, we learning, we learning.
I was laughing when I killed my mother. Why'd you get rid of that shirt? It had pieces of my mother's brain stuck to it. I killed Josh with a sledgehammer, too.
This is 15-year-old Zachary Davis. He's just been brought in for questioning after a fire was...
These detectives were arguing back and forth if he was faking the voice or not. And it seemed to be like one of the focuses was like to find out. They were asking the teacher, like, does he always talk like that? Like, what is wrong with
was
this
discovered
guy?
at his house. Initially, the tragedy appeared to be nothing more than an unfortunate accident. That is, until a body was discovered inside the home. Even more horrifying was the fact that the victim, Zachary's mother, hadn't been killed by the flames, but by a sledgehammer before the fire was even started.
A lot
in
of
about
young
3
ones.
seconds, you'll see Zachary crack, but not in the way anyone expected.
It looks kind of evil when you do that, I'm going to have to say. I think you know you're doing it.
In this never-before-seen interrogation footage, Zachary...
All these young, parent assaults in these episodes of Iwu, a lot of them talk about something taking them over, and dude, it makes me wonder about demonic possession and stuff like what that kid just displayed. It's really creepy. There's a case, the Slender Man killing was one where that girl seemed to be possessed by something, and they find him criminally insane or whatever, but
He is brutally honest as he details his crime, and yet his astonishing motive leaves investigators wondering how much of this chilling tale is the result of a disturbed mind or a series of cleverly concocted lies. In the early hours of August 10th, 2012,
so that's that kid. He was mainly known for his weird voice, though. Here's the Slender Man one. So, if you're not familiar with the Slender Man, well, yeah, we'll just let it play.
Are you going to put me in prison and I'm gonna rot and die?
Out of all of the killers on this channel, this little girl creeped me out more than anybody.
Please don't cut off my head. I'm just waiting. And everything hold on the outside. Sometimes I'm looking in.
1-1. What's the address of your emergency?
Waukesha County, Lenny. I'm transferring over a caller on Big Bend at the dead end just south of Rivera. And he came upon a 12-year-old female. She appears to be stabbed.
She appears to be what?
Stabbed.
Stabbed?
Correct.
Yeah, his voice is wild. Dude, he was bugging the detectives out during the interrogation. It's a good one.
Okay.
Sir, you still there?
Yes. Hi, sir. So, are you with this 12-year-old female?
Yeah, she says she's having trouble breathing. She said she was stabbed multiple times.
Stabbed multiple times?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, dear God.
So, you had a group of 3 12-year-old girls. They were all in school together, and 2 of them, the one dancing around and singing like a demon spawn, and this one became obsessed with creepypastas, specifically Slender Man. And what they somehow came to decide was they wanted to become, I forget the word they used. They do talk about it. Dude, they tell everything. They wanted to become like minions to Slender Man, and the only way to do it was to sacrifice their third friend. So they had a sleepover and lured her out into the woods and jumped on her and started stabbing her. And thank God the little girl survived. But this is a well-known case. This one right here recently it came up for to be released because they were juveniles. They weren't tried as adults, and it's a terrifying dive into what the internet can do to young kids for one.
This is really happening.
schizophrenia, oppositional defiant disorder, shared psychotic disorder. These are just a few of the diagnoses made by psychological experts in an attempt to understand why one big delusion caused two 12-year-olds named Morgan Geyser and Anissa Wire to do something absolutely awful to their friend Peyton. On the sunny morning of Saturday, May 31st, 2014, a man riding his bike in Waukesha, Wisconsin would stumble upon a horrifying scene.
Okay, sir, are you with her right now?
Yes.
Is she awake?
She's awake.
Is she breathing?
Yeah, she's breathing. She said she can take shallow breaths. She's alert.
Okay, stay with her. We're sending the police department. Don't hang up, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Hold on just a minute, sir. We're sending officers.
Oh.
Is there any assailant around?
I didn't even look. I don't see anybody.
It's a miracle that little girl survived.
Is there any bleeding going on?
Her clothing has got blood on it.
Where are the wounds? Do you see where the wounds are?
No, I don't know if I should be rolling her over and checking or not.
Okay, just stay with her and just let me know if she's conscious.
Because they tell the little girls share everything, and especially Morgan, and she said at one time that she started. They were like still talking to her after they assaulted her, and she told them that she was getting cold, and yeah, that means you're in bad shape.
Alert or stops breathing anything. Hold on, I'm going to talk to the ambulance. Police are also en route.
They told her to go lay
My
down.
shade? Okay. Who did that to you? Or don't you want to talk? If you better not to talk, then don't talk. With your energy.
Later that day, Peyton's best friends would be discovered sitting on the side of the I-94 freeway, covered in blood. Today, we'll be taking a look at the harrowing interrogations that followed. You'll hear the girls refer to Peyton as Bella at times. This is a nickname the victim went by since first grade, when there were 2 Peytons in her class. One thing that stands out about these interviews is the lack of parental presence. For children this age, it is unusual, although there is no statute requiring it. And the other thing that makes these clips so different from what we usually cover is that there was virtually no need for classic interrogation techniques, because the suspects are extremely forthcoming with talking about exactly what they did, to a shocking degree. Morgan sits doubled over, as if trying to minimize her presence, and then one of the strangest openings to an interrogation I've seen in a while.
Think you guys are gonna just run away? So then live in the forest?
I don't know. I told her that we were going to die.
Why?
Because you can't just live in a forest.
You can't just live in a forest, like, but she was the one that came up with the idea, apparently. There's debate to that, though. Like, this is a case where there's debate on who was leading who.
Morgan is generally passive and cooperative while waiting.
Because the other girl seems the other girl seems extremely intelligent, and Morgan just seems like aloof.
We'll look at a couple things on you, okay?
Okay.
But all of a sudden, she pipes up to ask about the status of her victim.
Do you know what happened to Bella?
What happened to Bella? Is Bella your friend?
She's not a name.
Bella threw him off because he knew her as the other name. That's probably when they learned that they called her Bella.
He says she's the one who was stabbed.
Stabbed? I'm not really sure.
Is she dead?
I don't know. She was taken to the hospital. Maybe no.
What?
Did you see her snap up and look when he said she was taken to the hospital? It's like she was disappointed.
I was just wondering.
Although mostly quiet, Morgan is curious about the procedures taking place.
Alright, you kind of try to get underneath your nails here a little bit.
What are you doing?
This is a DNA swab. This is just checking to see, like, maybe who you're around or who you touched a little bit earlier today.
She's noticeably fidgety and agitated, making odd, repeated arm movements, doing a sort of dancing, shaking motion.
Dude, that's straight out of the exorcism movies, where she's in the laboratory, the doctor's office, and she's like going against the walls and shit.
Motion, and performing a repetitive hand motion, which could be symptoms of her mental illness. Within several weeks of her arrest, Morgan would be diagnosed with early onset schizophrenia.
Yeah,
after her clothing was taken for evidence, an interrogator starts with opening questions to get her feeling comfortable and establish a baseline from which he will determine if future answers are truthful or not.
There's just one part that I want to let it play out to, and it's the creepiest. It's the creepiest line I've ever heard in any of these EWU documentaries.
Everybody been nice to you? Mm-hmm. Sounds like you've had a long day so far. Well, I'm a detective here at the Waukesha Police Department. Okay?
Okay.
And something happened today with, looks like two of your friends, and so I gotta talk to you about that for a little bit.
Okay.
So I got some questions for you today.
Mm-hmm.
How old are you?
I'm 12.
12. So you just had a birthday not too long ago? What'd you do for your birthday?
Teacher only described as strange. She would run away from other kids and say Snape, the Harry Potter character, was chasing her.
Harry
But her
Potter.
behavior was about to go from quirky to disturbing. A group of girls found Morgan playing with blood in her fingers. They reported the incident to her math teacher, who proceeded to contact her mother. Morgan's mother replied that Morgan had been going on scary websites. One of these websites was the Creepypasta Wiki,
Playing with
a website
blood on her
consisting of
finger.
fictional horror.
Okay, playing with blood on her finger. What that probably was writing on paper, like pricking her finger, cutting her finger, and doing spooky little like Slender Man, or who was the one with the creepy eyes? Jeff the Killer. Yeah.
Stories and online urban legends. The teacher suggested
Did
that
you
Morgan
see
no
the
longer
graphic? The werewolf graphic? Just a second.
teacher only
Look at the
described as
graphic on the
strange.
computer.
She would run away from other kids and say Snape, the Harry Potter character, was chasing her. But her behavior was about to go from quirky to disturbing. A group of girls found Morgan playing with blood in her fingers. They reported the incident to her math teacher, who proceeded to contact her mother. Morgan's mother replied that Morgan had been going on scary websites. One of these websites was the Creepypasta Wiki, a website consisting of fictional horror stories and online urban legends. The teacher
I don't
suggested
know why
that
that
Morgan no longer
cracks me
visit these types of websites, but it doesn't seem her advice was taken. At one point, Morgan's extreme behavior led to her suspension from school. She snuck a rubber mallet into her locker. Unfortunately for Morgan, when she opened the locker, it fell onto the ground in front
She
of
was
her
gonna
peers,
get a
who reported
sacrifice at school.
Morgan told the principal that the mallet was for her protection. When pressed on the issue by the school counselor, she stated she only said it was for protection because she didn't know what else to say.
So it sounds like
Once
she
was
was the
suspended,
leader.
She crumbled to the ground and cried. The principal then witnessed Morgan talking to herself and noted that it was odd enough to report this to her parents as well. Once Morgan returned to school, other students began noticing a strange journal she would carry around, and one student noticed she had written the word die. Again, Morgan found herself getting into trouble, and this time she was extremely distressed. She was particularly worried about getting into trouble at home. When her parents were contacted, her
Help
father
never
stated
comes.
that he was aware of the journal and had told Morgan not to take it to school.
Or that her dad knew about it and told her not to take it to school. He was like thinking, well, I'd rather have her express herself this way than, cutting on herself or anything.
Overall, Morgan was a troubled and strange child, but she did have one best friend, and that was Peyton Leitner. Peyton had been friends with Morgan since
Peyton
4th
was her
grade,
first
where she'd
friend.
often noticed her sitting alone. She reached out to Morgan, and despite her unusual habits, the two became best friends. And this act of kindness would come back to bite her in the worst ways when Morgan met Anissa Wire. By all appearances, Anissa was relatively normal in comparison to Morgan and could be described as a teacher's pet. She often reported any
From what I've seen, Anissa has a chance of getting out, and Morgan is kind of screwed. But I could be wrong about that. Anissa keeps coming up. She actually might have been released. I'll have to look into it. She was, because like I said, they weren't charged as adults.
student who wasn't following the directions and had a temper. Still, she was generally liked by her peers, though she didn't have many close friends outside of her small circle, and struggled connecting to others. This would change when she met Morgan early in the school year, and soon after, Peyton. Peyton wasn't particularly fond of Anissa. She described her as rude, hitting people all the time, and using curse words. But she only behaved this way when she was around Morgan, as though she was trying to impress her. The dynamics in friend groups of three can be tricky to navigate, and it is clear that this case was no different.
So the Anissa Lake fella?
I can't really tell who Anissa likes and doesn't like.
So you think she dislikes Bella?
Probably, yeah. She always calls her.
That shows she's being 100% honest, as far as she knows. Because if she could have put blame on Anissa there and been like, yeah, Anissa doesn't like Bella, she would have. But she's just shooting from the hip, being real.
I don't want to say it.
That's why it's scary.
She always calls her a bitch.
Why?
I don't know. Because she's being one? I'm just assuming. I don't really know what the definition is.
So do you like Bella pretty much? You ever been mad at her?
She was my only friend for a long time. Because...
Why would you hurt your only friend?
It was necessary.
Dude,
What do you mean necessary?
It's so creepy. It was necessary.
Told you that?
Mm-hmm.
Does Anissa have any other friends?
Mm-hmm. I hate her other friends.
What are her other friends?
Caitlin's nice. There's this girl named Frankie. And she seems to hate me. And there's this girl and I don't know her name.
So Frankie's the one that doesn't like you?
Frankie doesn't like me. She said I was creepy.
He wrote down Frankie so he could go talk to her later. You saw him write down Frankie. Talk to Frankie.
As Morgan began hanging out with Anissa more frequently, Peyton noticed a drastic and disturbing change, and so did Peyton's family. Peyton's mother didn't want her hanging out with Morgan, as she believed she was a bad influence who got into trouble at school. In fact, there was even a strange incident involving Morgan at the Leitner household. At Peyton's sleepover, her parents found Morgan setting papers on fire in their basement. They told Peyton she should no longer have any contact with Morgan, but she refused. And Morgan's behavior only continued to escalate when she and Anissa's Slender Man obsession began. Morgan showed violent inclinations even in video games, telling Peyton she wanted to set her...
Dude, she's pretty skilled artistically for a 12-year-old.
Her Sim's house on fire and
Did you hear that? One of the girls told their moms that at the sleepover she was doing mean things on the Sims game. Here, let me rewind a little bit.
Creepy. All I do is smile.
As Morgan began hanging out with Anissa more frequently, Peyton noticed a drastic and disturbing change, and so did Peyton's family. Peyton's mother didn't want her hanging out with Morgan, as she believed she was a bad influence who got into trouble at school. In fact, there was even a strange incident involving Morgan at the Leitner household. At Peyton's sleepover, her parents found Morgan setting papers on fire in their basement. They told Peyton she should no longer have any contact with Morgan, but she refused. And Morgan's behavior only continued to escalate when she and Anissa's Slender Man obsession began. Morgan showed violent inclinations even in video games, telling Peyton she wanted to set her Sim's house on fire and starve her characters. She snarkily complained to Peyton before the sleepover, "I don't know why your mom thinks she controls the plans of our party," which of course infuriated Peyton's mother, but she still tried to remain supportive of Peyton's friendships and allowed her to attend, unaware of just how unhinged the 12-year-old's two best friends were really becoming.
So Morgan was even talking shit to her friends' parents, creeping them out.
Back in Morgan's interrogation, the officer starts to assess her A&O, alertness and orientation.
Do you know who the president is right now?
What?
Do you know who the president of the United States is?
Yes.
Who's that?
Barack Obama.
She knew
I
that.
never seen on the news what's going on lately.
Gross things.
What's gross things?
Kidnapping children and not doing things to them.
Remember which time or specific incident?
I can keep it a little bit. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Do you need anything to eat?
This is when they brought
Sure.
Anissa.
Maybe as you kind of relax a little bit.
This is when they brought in Nisa in, and she acted, dude. She seems to be a lot more
You might
intelligent
find
than Morgan.
food starting to get hungry, but try to drink some water, okay? And I'll be right back with you, okay?
Anissa has her arms crossed and already sounds to be upset or crying.
Can I ask a quick question? Sure. If
She asked a weird question about how far did they walk.
About her life, and immediately after her rights have been read, she breaks down a bit.
and understanding these above rights, are you willing to speak with me and tell me what happened today? Is that a yes? The silly thing about this was I didn't know I was in danger until after Morgan stabbed Peyton, or Bella, as people call her. They call her Bella? Okay. You go to school with Peyton? Yes, Bella? Okay.
This seems to be an unusual trigger, and while it may be genuine, it suggests there could be an act being played. It could be a diversionary or distraction technique. Granted, it could also just be a young girl overwhelmed by the reality that she's gotten in way over her head.
Can we start from the beginning so you guys, like, this was a birthday party, right?
The interrogator moves herself closer to the suspect and leans forward, closing distance and uses open body language so as not to be imposing, offering reassurance and building trust. She also asks a very open-ended question. Tell me what happened, to get Anissa talking freely.
Okay, kind of tell me what happened. So, there's this website called the Creepypasta Wiki. Okay. It's full of, like, horror stories that have been so
I want to say this detective is amazing. Like the perfect detective for the job.
purposely scare you through, like, online literature and all that. Okay. And there's one of them called Slenderman. It's like really Slenderman. It's Sliver? Slenderman. Oh,
Sliver?
Slenderman.
She went sliver?
Okay. And
proxies.
He has these proxies.
Proxies. That's the word I couldn't think of earlier. Proxies.
Or servants, as people call them.
They call them proxies.
Basky and Teddy. And Morgan said, hey, Anissa, we should be proxies. And I was like, okay, how would we do that? And that was around end of December, beginning of January. Okay.
What's interesting is that Anissa immediately jumped into talking about Slender Man when asked to explain what happened, while Morgan doesn't even mention him until way later in her interrogation. Perhaps this shows us where the two girls' priorities, understanding, and motives for the crime differ.
And a proxy again, what is a proxy? It's like a servant or like an apprentice. Okay, and they're the servants of who? The whichever
Talk to you a little bit about what's been going on with you. So it seems like you and your friends had something that happened this morning, and I'm not sure how far back that went. So
I always like dress up, and I dressed up as Data, and Anissa dressed up as.
This is a common indicator of sociopathic behavior, though taken alone, it is not enough to make a diagnosis.
We like played around a little bit. Morgan kind of started freaking out a little bit, so I said, Bella, I need to talk to Morgan. She's freaking out a little bit. What was she freaking out about? Killing.
So they all went into it seemed like a playground area. At one time they got her inside a bathroom stall, and the plan was they were gonna unalive her in the bathroom stall and leave her there and go out. Dude, it really planned out. They were gonna climb out the bottom so nobody would come, because you would think it was just somebody in the bathroom. And they got scared during that, so then they were wandering around, and finally they get the nerve to
She
do
had
it.
never done that before, she stabbed apples before. Okay. It was like chopsticks. Okay. But she never actually cut a flesh wound into somebody. How was she freaking out? What was she doing? She said, I can't do this. I'm too scared. You have to. Did Bella hear this? No, Bella was outside. I told her to go outside and play.
So they're like sneaking off. They're like sneaking off and having these little side discussions. It's just so scary to think about.
Yeah, so I had to hug her and calm her down.
It's fascinating how both suspects seem to be going back and forth between calm acceptance of their intended crime and panic in the face of the severity of what they were about to do.
So the three you was in the park?
Mm-hmm. And then we played on the slide for a little bit. We went in the bathroom. And then we were singing songs.
That's when things took a bizarre turn. While singing depressing songs in the bathroom, Morgan began to pace back and forth.
Was there something about her in the bathroom? Dying in the bathroom or something? Yeah, there was a drain for blood to go down, and then we were gonna sit her on the toilet, lock the door, and then leave for Nicolette.
Nicolette is where they believe Slender Man lives in the woods, and they think that like he'll welcome them and make them like powerful because they just attacked their friend. That's the like mainstream story, which it's hard to gauge how much of it they actually believed or not.
So that it would look like that A, she wasn't dead, and because like in the bathroom stall. Mm-hmm. So we were gonna do it down in the bathroom stall and like sit her on the toilet, lock the door, crawl out, and walk.
Then the girls tried to tell Peyton to go to sleep.
From what I read on the creepypasta wiki, it's easier to kill people when they're either asleep or unconscious. And it's also easier if you do not look them in the eye. So I asked Bella if she could like put herself to sleep. Is it okay if I look like can I get Julie? Okay. Yeah, let me get you one. Thank you. Yeah, of course.
This statement alone shows a lot of planning and devious thought going into the crime. This level of detail will be used in court against Anissa.
Because like when you look into a person's eyes, you can see yourself. And you don't want to be killing yourself, supposedly, so you don't look in their eyes. But when they're sleeping or unconscious, they can't scream, and they go around to make it harder for you. Okay. So then Morgan called me over to where she was standing, which was by the sink. Okay. So then she said, can you kind of knock her out? Because
a lot of their thought process does seem to come from different movies, books. Morgan was big into Harry Potter, they said. A lot of it, was about Harry Potter. So it is possible that it was a mixed bag. The stuff about, looking in the eyes. When you're that age, you just, you get it from wherever it comes. And it is obvious they read and were obsessed with the creepy pastas for sure.
For her every now and then, because Morgan's like prime target for bullies at school, especially Devin. Okay.
It's very interesting how she even strives to tie her violence against innocent Peyton into talking about how she defends Morgan from bullies at school.
Anisha tried to knock Bella out. Bella got all mad and stuff, but I was pacing in circles, singing a song for Anisha.
So that's when it became...
Why did you guys pick the bathroom?
That's when violence it started, and she probably realized, like, Bella probably realized this is going bad.
I didn't pick it, so I don't know. I guess it is closed off from the rest of the park, but it would be very, very easy. I think she has some flaws in her thinking skills.
She said she didn't pick the bathroom, though. That means Morgan planned that. Or, Anissa planned that.
So, obviously, I didn't choose the location.
Eventually, Anissa attempted to trick Peyton into getting inside a bathroom stall. She told her there was vandalism in the toilet bowl, and though Peyton didn't really believe her, she still wanted to see it. The three entered the bathroom stall, and Morgan quickly latched the door behind them. The truth is, there's no vandalism, she said. Morgan then directed Peyton to sit in the corner of the stall and held her arms back before saying to Anissa, "I thought we agreed you would do this." At some point during this tense trip to the bathroom, Anissa did stand over Peyton before striking her head against the wall in an attempt to knock her out.
So I kind of went like that to her forehead and banged her head up against the concrete. Okay. And then she was just like, "Excuse you," and pushed my hand away. So I said,
She said she still didn't want to believe that they were trying to hurt her. Like, to the very doubt of her mind. She said, "Oh, like, excuse you, did you just ram into me? Like, what'd you just do?" It was nowhere in her mind yet that they were really trying to hurt her.
"Sorry, I got bored and I needed something to do. Plus, my hands got really finicky. I lied." So do you think that hurt her, or did it seem like it hurt her? It didn't seem like it. So you hit her slightly in the forehead and her head hit the wall. And you were doing this to knock her out so you guys could kill her in there? Yeah. Basically, and you asked her to fall asleep so you could kill her in there? Yeah. Okay. I don't like screaming. That's one thing I can't be handled.
It's clear at this point that Anissa was more than willing to forcefully render her friend unconscious, just to make the killing easier. The self-centric behavior is fascinating. However, Morgan and Anissa hesitated from whatever they had planned next, and left Peyton for the next stall over to talk. Peyton sat and waited. It's unclear exactly what happened to change their plan, but Morgan apparently explained a bit of the creepypasta lore to Peyton.
And like, I couldn't do it in there. Morgan kind of explained like Slender and Proxy and all that to her, to Bella, while we were in the bathroom stall. So Morgan hands you the knife? And tells me to keep it concealed. Where is Bella at that time? We went in one of the bigger stalls. So Bella
Must have been like a handicapped stall.
Here. Bella was standing in the corner like this, and then Morgan pulls her forward, and then Morgan crouches behind her, and Bella crouches in front of her, and then Morgan held Bella's arms back. Like, what was she trying to do? She was like trying to restrain her from moving. And what did Bella think of it? Her facial expression was confused, but she didn't say anything.
Eventually, Morgan stood in front of Peyton, staring at her with her hand rubbing against the bag. This time, Anissa was holding her hands behind her back, but moments later, they strangely said, "Just go out on the playground and just play." Peyton had enough of their strange games and went outside as they suggested. However, Morgan and Anissa stayed in the bathroom, and when they exited 5 minutes later, they had weird looks on their faces, like they had just done something.
So then after that, I say, "Hey guys, why don't we go take a walk around the block?" That's when I pointed out to Morgan the bushes, the trees and bushes and all that, and say, "You can take her in there and do the deed."
Doing the deed is another phrase Anissa says to psychologically disconnect herself.
We could take her in there and do the deed. Dude, these little kids are more terrifying than any adult
From the
criminals
idea of
you'll
taking
find.
another person's life.
After we go into the woods, we say we're going to play a hide and seek. And Morgan is going to be a seeker. So we hide. I tell Bella to lay down face first in the dirt. Like She suggested her stomach. Okay. You know, so you suggested to take a walk around the block, and you pointed out the woods.
I'm gonna have to go look for interviews with Bella after, now that she's older, and I want to know, like, at what point did she realize, like, my friends are trying to off me, like, because they assaulted her 2 or 3 times up before this point, and it was like she still didn't want to accept it, or was she still or just scared? Because you're outnumbered, like, you're trapped there with these two crazies.
To Morgan and said, we could do deep there. Okay. And then, she says, I'm not laying on my stomach in dirt. It's all squishy and there are twigs and sharp rocks everywhere. So you're going to play hide and seek, right? Mm-hmm. Play hide and seek, and then she was supposed to be the seeker, so to keep her eyes from being the see where you guys ran, you wanted her to lay down in the dirt? No, Morgan was the seeker, and Bella and I were hiding. Okay, so you told her a place to hide. Mm-hmm. And why did you want her to lay down in the dirt? So that I could sit on her chest and so that I could pin her down and get it done and over with, and then we could leave. You're gonna pin her down? Mm-hmm. Morgan told me to pin her down. Okay. And so I kind of, she said no. So
The part that is the creepiest line I've ever heard in one of these is coming up shortly.
I kind of pushed her forward and sat on her hip, and then she said, ow, I can't breathe, ow, ow, ow. Then I got off because she was making a lot of noise. Was she kneeling already or something? Or? Yeah, she was kneeling, and then I pushed her, she was kneeling like this. Okay, hiding. With flowers and all that. Okay. I was standing right here. I pushed her over. Okay. So she's this now. Okay. And then I sit right here on her hip while she's that. Okay. And then she started complaining that she couldn't breathe, so I got off of her because she was making a lot of noise. Okay. Okay. And what happened next? And I told Morgan that she's not laying down, and then she said, tackle her and I'll stab her.
So she said that out loud. So that must have been the moment Bella knew.
And then, no, there was a time when Morgan gave you the knife. Mm-hmm. And said that she couldn't do it. When was that? It was before hide. It was after I tackled Bella and sat on her hip. Okay. So you tell Morgan she's not laying down, is that what it happened? Mm-hmm. And then she said, okay, tackle. Tackle her. And then I tackle her, yeah. I get up, and then Morgan hands me the knife and says, I can't do it, you know where all the soft spots are. I only know where soft spots are because I used to watch Doomsday Preppers, and it's
that concept right there, they have no concept of what snuffing a whole life means, is why you can't charge 12-year-olds the same as adults. It's that idea right there. They don't have the same concept of life and death yet at that age, apparently.
That's a hard blow to the stomach or the throat with a sucker in between your fingers.
I don't know what she's talking about.
A sucker being a knife or something? No, a sucker being an actual lollipop.
An actual lollipop.
And then she drunks on Bella, and she held her to the floor.
Where did Anissa do this?
Mm-hmm.
Where did this happen at?
In some trees.
How'd you guys end up by the tree?
That's how you know it's true. They've been separated, and they both came to the same point, through the bathroom and then into a patch of trees, and they haven't been able to communicate, so it's an accurate representation of the story, for the most part, I imagine.
And we were going to look at plants and stuff.
How far off the road was it?
Not very. And then we stabbed her.
And you stabbed her?
With a knife.
You stabbed her from what?
Huh?
You stabbed her from what?
From
a knife.
How did you stab her?
Dude, that question. This detective, I wasn't sure about. You stabbed her from what? Like, I don't understand that question. So I'm pretty sure Morgan didn't.
I said stab.
Oh, stabbed her?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So
What did he think she said? Wait a minute. What? What? What did he think she said?
Some trees.
How'd you guys end up by the trees?
Because we were going to look at, like, plants and stuff.
How far off the road was it?
Not very. And then we stabbed her.
And you stabbed her?
Oh, stopped her. He thinks she said stopped her.
You stopped her from what?
You stopped her from what? Dude, his mind can't even comprehend. You stabbed her.
Huh?
You stabbed her from what?
A knife.
How did you stab her?
I said stab.
Oh, stabbed her?
Oh, stabbed her.
So, this happened in the woods?
It wasn't in the woods, it was just a little group of trees.
Morgan admits to the stabbing in the same matter-of-fact tone she described her morning activities. Her demeanor is almost as if she's talking about something make-believe, which points to her mental illness. Anissa provided a bit more detail about what led up to the stabbing.
Yeah. And then I tell her she has to do it and to go ballistic and...
Did you hear that? She said, I told her she has to do it. She bubbled it kind of fast. This is where she says what Morgan said when she started stabbing her.
Then she asked when.
What's
and I
up,
said,
Nova?
whatever you want, and she said, I'm doing it when you want me to. So she gives you the knife and says, you do it. And then I give it back to her and say, you do it, go ballistic. And she said, okay, I'll go ballistic when you say you...
Go ballistic. That's creepy to me, too. Oh, bro, I just got sidetracked. I had a whole plan for this episode. Then I got sidetracked on the Slender Man case. So it derailed my whole plan for the episode. So we're going to have to do that tomorrow. But it's alright. We're just going over the Slender Man case on one of my favorite YouTube channels, Explore With Us.
Anissa apparently told Morgan she was too squeamish to do it herself. She explained that Peyton didn't hear this horrifying conversation because she was playing with flowers. There's clearly some mental disease going on here. Normal people don't act like this as far as we know. And so, despite appearing outwardly sane, Anissa also has some mental disease or defect that will likely factor into her trial proceedings.
I told her that I didn't care when she did it. She said, whatever. So I started walking away, and then like when I was 5 feet away, I said now, and Morgan...
Dude, so Anissa gave the order. Like, that puts her almost, if not just as more responsible. Because Morgan seems to be way out there.
Don't be afraid, I'm only a little kitty cat, and...
Okay, that's the line that really creeps me out.
And says, you do it. And then I give it back to her and say, you do it, go ballistic. And she said, okay, I'll go ballistic when you say you want me to.
Anissa apparently told Morgan she was too squeamish
Listen to
do
what
it
Morgan
herself.
says
She explained
before
that Peyton
she
didn't hear this
starts
horrifying conversation because she was playing with flowers. There's clearly some mental disease going on here. Normal people don't act like this as far as we know. And so, despite appearing outwardly sane, Anissa also has some mental disease or defect that will likely factor into her trial proceedings.
I told her that I didn't care when she did it. She said, whatever. So I started walking away, and then like when I was 5 feet away, I said now, and Morgan said, don't be afraid, I'm only a little kitty cat, and jumped on top of Bella and stabbed her repeatedly.
She said, "Don't be afraid, I'm only a little kitty cat," and jumped on her and started stabbing her repeatedly. It's one of the creepiest lines I've ever heard in one of these ewus. This shit stuck with me. That's the one thing about this channel is some of these cases are just horrific. This one right here is absolutely horrific. These guys were called the Scream Killers. They planned and they made masks and they ambushed a young girl from their class. It's a horrific case. I'll just show the little intro to this one.
These videotapes would first appear ordinary to the unsuspecting eye. However, as you continue to watch, it becomes abundantly clear that something is wrong.
So we're gonna fucking kill her and her friends, and we're gonna keep moving on. I heard some news about Kirsten. She's gonna be home alone from 6 to 7. So we might kill her, then drive over to Cassie's thing, and scare the shit out of them, then kill them one by fucking one.
Only small snippets of the videotapes filmed by teen killers Brian Draper and Tori Adamczyk have been available to the public until now. The majority of the following footage.
That's the victim. That's the one girl they ended up unaliving. They were caught shortly after.
Has never been seen before. These are the lost tapes of the Scream Killers.
And they buried all their evidence, and when they found it, the evidence was horrifying. They made paper masks and stuff, and just the terror that girl went through is next level.
2 counts of first-degree murder. His
So
defense
this
attorney
is
tried
the
to
last case I wanted to go through, and I spent so much time on the Slender Man one. I'm gonna try to do this kind of quick. This is the horrorcore killer case, and it's the case of Psycho Sam. And this is the case that involves someone from UFO Twitter, and it's actually been somewhat used against this guy, even though he absolutely did nothing wrong. And I wanted to get this out on, so people kind of have an idea of what really happened with the person, and can dispel the bullshit that comes from the Tupa crew. Oh, I'll show it later.
The following footage of killer Richard Samuel McCroskey has never been seen before.
Alright, so I'm making this video because, or if anybody finds this, I really don't even know what I'm trying to say, and just I'm breathtaking at what I've done, and I apologize. I know I'm gonna pay for my consequences. I wish that I could have not done this, but I just lost my mind. I snapped, and I did what I did, and I gotta pay for it now. My consequences. I'm like all shaky and stuff, but like, to anybody that finds this, tell my parents that like I love them, and I'm very sorry for doing this, and there's nothing really else to say. To everybody that is probably gonna hate me for this, I'm sorry, and I had to do it. My mind just snapped. I couldn't control it anymore. That's it. Fuck you to the big world. Fuck everybody in the world. I can't stand this place.
Richard filmed this video as he was living in the home of his victims and their rotting corpses. He stayed in the house with their dead bodies for days after their deaths. Neighbors began noticing a sickening stench emanating from somewhere in the neighborhood, but couldn't pin down the source. They shrugged it off, attributing the smell to a dead animal. Little did they know they were smelling 4 human bodies as they began to decompose. When Richard finally fled the house, he left behind a crime scene so horrific, police wouldn't even describe what they found beyond the victims dying of blunt force trauma. What exactly was he doing during his time in the home remains a mystery to this very day. But one thing is for certain, when he set off to visit his online friend for the first time, no one could have possibly imagined everything would take such a shocking turn.
So the case is based around a group of friends. They're horrorcore fans of, like ICP, what is Twisted. There's a genre called horrorcore, and there was a group of friends that some of them were meeting online and didn't know each other in real life. And Psycho Sam, the guy from the intro, he met a young girl through that community, and they, hooked up on, like, created an online relationship where they hadn't met in real life. They plan was to get together for a concert, a horrorcore concert, and when they did to meet in real life for the first time, it just didn't go well. The 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 people that were there claimed that it just the guy was kind of
To
awkward,
manipulate someone to get their way. So in
and
Richard's case, the voices inside his head that he's referring to.
it was just kind of an awkward meeting, and she kind of started to, like, even at the concert, get away from him. Like, this is weird, you know. But they had this big weekend plan, so he was staying at her house. Her parents let her have this big, let your friends come, we'll drive you to the concert. Concert was like 10 hours away. And when things didn't go well with him and his online relationship, Psycho Sam here, he unalived her parents, her and her close friend that were at the house. He stayed in the house for a few days. People were calling, coming by, and eventually he fled. Uh, and here I'm gonna push out to. I got some points marked here.
Her parents became worried when that date came with no word from the young woman. Her father drove to the home in Farmville where he knew she was staying, but no one answered the door after hours of waiting.
So what happened is when these kids didn't come home, the other girl that was at the house, the victim, their family, dad started to show up, and Psycho Sam was still in the hiding in the house with the corpses. At one point he called the police. It's a bizarre case.
The distraught parents made countless attempts to track down Melanie over the next 2 days, calling her phone, Emma's phone, and even Razakel, who hadn't seen.
Razakel was at the concert also. Razakel is another member of not UFO Twitter, but she's on Twitter. She's active on Twitter. I've talked to her a little bit. She's part of that little group.
Seen them since they left the concert, but then they managed to get through to Richard on the phone at least 2 times. Something was off. Yet when they spoke with him, he gave them a different story every time regarding the girl's whereabouts. They called the Farmville police and requested a welfare check, but officers didn't find.
That's Razakel in the middle, and on either side of her, the 2 victims. So she was obviously, and
anything
she was at the concert, but not at the scene of the crimes. And I think a lot of the information about what went down at the concert that triggered this little horrorcore incel was from her.
Suspicious? Well, at first. That same day, Melanie's mother, Kathleen, also reached out to Mark Niederbrock and asked if he could go check out the house. He agreed, and Kathleen was relieved that she would finally have answers soon. But her relief was short-lived. Hours passed, and there was still no call from Mark.
Well, yeah. This is Carmel Police Department. Okay, did you just speak with somebody at the residence?
Yes, I just spoke
This is important.
with, I guess, the daughter's boyfriend.
Okay.
The daughter's boyfriend. He was the only one there, like, for days, and police even went there after this mom called, and they didn't search the house. He's just like, well, I'm here hanging out. He even called the police at one time, which is weird.
Well, I don't know. My sergeant went over there, and he said that it was a young kid, a boy.
A sergeant went over there. So you're telling me that sergeant didn't say, well, I need to speak to someone who actually lives here. Like, I need to speak to an owner of this house. Who the fuck are you? That's crazy to me.
And that Melanie and the girl she's staying with are at the movies now. Yesterday they went to Richmond. Vehicle had broken down and her cell phone's dead and that kind of thing. So is that what he talked to you about?
what he told me, yeah. And like I said, but I don't know where the mother is. I don't know where. I mean, she's usually the one that I guess drives him around, and she just disappears. I haven't spoken to her at all. The father I talked to earlier on today.
Sandy, go lay down.
He said that he was on his way. He was, as a matter of fact, he was on the road when I was talking to him. He was going through Farmville. He was supposed to stop at the house. I haven't heard from him since.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm at the point, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to think at all.
Okay.
You know, and him being at the movies, I just tried to call. He said that Emma tried to call, or just called him from the movies. And I tried to call the phone that she called from. There's no answer. It goes right into it.
Okay.
So you got parents panicking and
Because they thought
the kid's still up in the house.
charge or civil lawsuit from even going forward. The police have what is called qualified immunity. Qualified immunity means that police officers are protected from being sued as long as they're acting within the guidelines of their job and not acting negligently or unreasonably. This gives police officers room to do their job without the fear of lawsuits interfering. In this particular case, it could be reasonably argued that the police did in fact act negligently by not thoroughly searching the home for the missing minors.
Hell yeah, they acted negligently. I mean, come on. You got a whole, I mean, what, like 4 or 5 people missing at that point.
Or because they missed the wretched odor emanating from the Farmville home.
Another thing is neighbors were saying that they all were smelling something, and it's crazy that a cop could have went up to that door and not smelled him. When Sam went on the run, somebody picked him up, and they reported that he smelled like death.
Home that was noticed by neighbors. At some point on the 17th, Richard made a call home. His sister said he was checking to see if his family was okay, and he ended the message with, "I love you guys." Hearing this, his sister knew something was off. They didn't say "I love you" to each other. However, because she knew her
Look at these cringy ass pictures and videos he was sending to that girl.
brother was someone who wouldn't kill a spider if she asked him to, she couldn't have imagined just how horribly wrong things had gone in Farmville. It's possible that Richard wasn't a very assertive individual. Maybe he was highly sensitive and fragile in many ways, unable to kill a spider. He may have, at one point in his life, been a rather weak person. The fact that Richard was teased and harassed in high school means that he could have developed some trauma during his adolescent years. However, teens who were bullied and subsequently traumatized typically don't grow up to become murderers.
This is important. Pay attention to this.
Richard appears to have had an immense amount of underlying anger and hatred that was never expressed in a healthy way. When a person remains passive against bullying or abuse, they will harbor a lot of self-hatred and, of course, hatred of others. The self-hatred develops because the person is not standing up for themselves and protecting themselves from the abuse. Helplessness and powerlessness then develop as a result. In Richard's situation, he likely felt helpless and powerless for so long after being bullied. He may have developed a mental image of himself as this tough individual that others should fear. This pretend image he developed made him feel bigger, stronger, and more powerful. This self-image likely gave him a sort of high, so he really embodied that image more and more with time. Once Richard felt betrayed by Emma, his online girlfriend, this betrayal triggered that underlying anger and hatred of others. Almost like that inner angry and violent nature remained dormant until he felt betrayed by his romantic interest. He stepped into and acted on that tough, powerful image that was really only in his mind for years, but to him it was real. To Richard, he was that strong, powerful person. It took a trigger, romantic rejection, to lead him to act on those feelings of hatred and desire for violence that he harbored for so long. Kathleen continued to call the police for help finding Melanie.
Why that's important is because this homicide, this whole mess, had nothing to do with horrorcore. It's called the horrorcore kill or murders or whatever, the horrorcore slaughters. It had nothing to do with the fact that they were consuming, ICP and GWAR and whatever the fuck, horrorcore music, or that they were involved in horrorcore. It was about romantic rejection and a young man that wasn't prepared to handle it. That's what caused this. It wasn't caused because these kids were engaging in the horrorcore scene, and that's something that I think is important to point out.
And I checked the cell phone records with my cell phone company. The last time she used her cell phone, 1:28 in the morning on September 15th. And actually, she wasn't using, somebody called in and left her a voicemail.
After relentless calls from Kathleen, Farmville police returned the following day, September 18th. But this time, they were stopped dead in their tracks by a horrific odor emanating from behind the closed front door. Knowing that sinister smell.
So they're back a couple days later, and now, by the smell, it's pretty obvious what has happened in this house. Yeah, what's up, bro? Yeah, it's a classic true crime.
All too well, officers swiftly entered the home and stumbled upon what they later described as a slaughterhouse. 3 bloody bodies were found brutally murdered in a downstairs bedroom, with a 4th body uncovered later in an upstairs bedroom. The unrecognizable victims were identified as Mark Niederbrock, Deborah Kelly, Emma Niederbrock, and Melanie Wells. Melanie, Emma, and Deborah had been mercilessly bludgeoned to death in their beds as they slept. Several weapons were discovered at the crime scene, but experts believe the injuries were specifically from a wooden splitting maul taken from the family's own backyard.
Good God.
When Mark had shown up to check on the girls, he had been attacked from behind with the same instrument. Because there was no evidence that Mark...
So the parents were separated, if I remember correctly, and the dad came later. The 3 female victims were unalived first, and then the dad showed up and he ambushed him.
Mark had tried to fight back. It looked as though he'd been ambushed as he entered the house. The father had been beaten so viciously that the hardwood floor under him was nearly destroyed and soaked with blood.
That goofy little kid in those photos did all this fucking horrific nonsense.
None of the 4 victims had any defensive wounds, and all had died from blunt force trauma to the head. Both Mark and Melanie's bodies had been moved down to Emma's room with her corpse in a twisted effort to clean up. Authorities were horrified at the chilling crime scene, but more than that, they were faced with the realization that during their previous visits to the home, they had unknowingly missed the gory evidence. But something was missing. There was no sign of Richard anywhere. Earlier that same day at around 4 in the morning, Richard had stolen and crashed Mark's car. Unaware of the horrors he had committed at that time, or that the car he crashed was his getaway vehicle, a police officer issued him a summons for driving without a license. The officer even went as far as to help secure him a ride.
Okay, pay attention here, because here shortly, a member of UFO Twitter is gonna make his only really appearance in this case, but it's a very important appearance.
Ride with the tow truck and simply let him go. Richard was dropped off at a convenience store around 6 a.m. by the tow truck driver, who reported that Richard had an overwhelmingly foul, putrid odor. The smell was so strong he even noticed it inside the crashed vehicle. He said Richard stunk like the devil, and he was forced to roll down the car windows and stay.
He stunk like the devil, and he had to roll the windows down. It was so bad. Oh, dude.
Stick his head outside. The fresh air didn't help much because
I would have kicked him the fuck out of the car. Dude, if I picked someone up and they smelled that bad, I'm not rolling the window down and sticking my head out. I'm saying, bro, you need to get the fuck out of my car. It'd be like a skunk or something, you know? That smell gonna stay in your car, bro.
he still heaved visibly twice. Yet Richard didn't seem to mind the foul smell. During their trip, the driver also noticed that Richard had red marks on his neck that looked like hickeys. When he commented on them, Richard claimed that his girlfriend gave them to him. In fact, he was so comfortable with the driver that he admitted the 2000 Honda he just wrecked belonged to the father of his girlfriend.
Spoil my grand
Once
finale.
at the convenience store, Richard then called for a cab to take him to Richmond International Airport. In a strange turn of events, on their way to the airport, the taxi was pulled over by a police officer for speeding. Apparently unconcerned, Richard had simply calmly exited the vehicle and had a smoke by the side of the road.
I don't think he did it just nonchalantly, got out and smoked. I think he knew he smelled horrendous, and he didn't want the cop to stick his head in the window with him. He wanted to air out. He knew, like, dude, I smell like dead bodies. And he wanted to, he thought, I need to get outside. He could tell by the reaction of the driver that he stank. So he knew when the cop came up. He wanted to kind of distance himself from him and get out in an arid area. I
While
would
the incident was
think.
sorted, as though he didn't have a care in the world, even after 2 very close calls with police officers. Little did anyone know the true horror he had left in his wake. Just hours after the grisly crime scene had been discovered, a man named Andres Shrim called the police. Shrim was the boyfriend of the horrorcore rapper Razakel. He went by the stage name Sectanic the Soulless.
Sectanic the Soulless. So Sectanic was dating Razakel at the time. And yeah, this is his appearance in the story.
Care in the world, even after 2 very close calls with police officers. Little did anyone know the true horror he had left in his wake. Just hours after the grisly crime scene had been discovered, a man named Andres Shrim called the police. Shrim was the boyfriend of the horrorcore rapper Razakel. He went by the stage name Sectanic the Soulless, and his record label was called Serial Killin' Records. In his call to the police, Shrim said that one of Richard's friends had spoken to him recently and said that Richard was noticeably upset and that he had made some disturbing comments, including that he had killed someone, maybe even a couple of people. The police were now certain that Richard was the perpetrator in the 4 horrific murders. They circulated a photo of him from his MySpace account in an attempt to track him down. It wasn't long before officers found Richard sleeping in the baggage claim area on September 19th.
So I just want to say real quick, because this is important. Yeah, he was living with the bodies for the whole weekend. That's why he smelled with death. And dude, he's obviously a weird young man. Um, that was Sictanic's only involvement in this case, and apparently he knew Sam from the horrorcore scene. He was dating Razakul at the time, and I don't if you've heard some of the things said by the Tupa crew, but they've associated him with, him being involved with a murderer or friends with murderers or whatever the fuck. Sectanic was the hero of this situation. This is his Twitter account right here. And he's a horrorcore artist. And he's a good guy, and he's gotten a lot of shit from the Tupa crew hate group, including this stuff right here. I got in touch with him through a third party. Satanist Satanic details how he was put in contact with Lou Elizondo. After his connection, Satanic became a UFO hate group attack dog. Satanic's never attacked anyone online. I've never seen him. He'll speak his mind. He'll defend himself if his rights to religious freedom are being infringed on, but he's never been accused of attacking anyone. He's a horrorcore artist, and yeah, he was the hero of that case. Um, he knew Sam, and it was probably hard to to call and to roll on a boy like that. But he was tested, and when it mattered, he did the right fucking thing, and he made that phone call. And who knows what the hell would have happened? That guy was running around town smelling like the dead body man. Like, it's very likely he would have hurt more people. And Sictanic's the hero of the situation. He made that phone call. He said, I got a friend here that's acting really fucking nutty, and I think he hurt somebody. And I think some like that shit is, something to be celebrated, not used to attack someone with, which is what the Tupa Crew hate group has done with that guy. So props to Sictanic for doing the right thing when it matters. Because it's not easy to do that shit, man. It's not. Um, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to end the stream here. We're coming up on 2 hours. I didn't really want to go this long. I had one last thing I wanted to show. This is kind of funny. Um, I got a tweet over here on X, and it's this woman claims that she knows Jelly Roll, the country artist Jelly Roll, from before he became famous. And she's making a lot of wild accusations against this guy. And I want to show you the tweet first, cuz that'll set up the YouTube video. She's like an artist too. So it's kind of funny, like, 'cause she makes songs burning Jelly Roll and these corny ass country artists. And here, let me find the tweet first to set up. Here she is. She's saying Jelly Roll's creepy uncle is threatening me now too. And she's claiming to be like an up and coming artist. And and she is just going at him, bro, and it's funny, and I'm gonna play her corny ass song too. Here, let me start this up.
Standing up for myself like this has been the greatest thing I've ever done, because if I would have told you guys like a month or two ago that Jelly Roll's close friend and uncle was scaring all of the women in my TikTok live by sending me very scary threats, you would have said I'm crazy.
Threats? Let's say, you're not as, look, it said you're not as safe as you think you are, dude. He's threatening her. And this is Jelly Roll's uncle, apparently. His part of his entourage. And she's kind of like a comedian. I don't know. But she is getting some crazy messages here. Can't wait until you're cold. Dude, what else could that mean? You're going to get the attention you want, but it is not going to be what you want. You need to worry. You can't screenshot all you want, still won't change. You can, dude.
So I look at these screenshots that the women send me after, and I click on the guy's profile, and a quick little scroll down, I see it's literally Jelly Roll's uncle. I found this guy on Facebook in 5 seconds.
Look, there he is. There he be.
And then he actually went.
There he be. His uncle. And her, dude, I find it funny when people latch onto one celebrity. Tomorrow on my episode, I'm going to go over a group of guys, Jim and them on YouTube, who their whole career is targeting Corey Feldman. There's another channel, Breaking Banquet, that I love to continue my theme of content creators I love. But yeah, let's get. I like when they target one niche thing and make a whole career off that. And she seems to be about exposing these country artists, and she explains how Jelly Roll got famous and everything.
And then he actually went live on TikTok himself to talk about me.
Now, this Nicole Arbor chick just come out of nowhere, come out to blue. She accused Ryan of trying to rape her. Nicole Arbor is...
Ryan is Jelly Roll. I'm pretty sure.
Is a money-hungry whore.
Strange thing to say about a stranger. I'm sure he's not like actually violent and trying to intimidate other people who have information on Jelly Roll being a psychotic criminal.
The same thing is Upchuck. We ran up on him in Ashland City. Dude ran to his truck, to the little store he goes to all the time. And dude ran to his truck, scared to death.
Well, that's really weird and scary, but I'm sure he didn't say anything weird and demonic or witchy.
The devil is the prince of the air. You know, the devil can touch you. Do different things, do different, people, whatever.
Okay, but what if he's like a distant relative and Jelly Roll doesn't even talk to him anymore?
I've already talked to Jay. I talk to Jay every other day. If I don't talk to Jason, I talk to his brother Scott.
Jason is Jelly Roll.
Which are that's my blood.
Now, I've been saying that Jelly Roll is the new Diddy of the entertainment industry, which I firmly believe he is. So it'd be really strange.
Jelly Roll, why he's on my radar right now is he's been heavily involved with WWE lately. He's part of the feud with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, which is the headline of WrestleMania.
If this talking potato, aka his uncle, had posted a photo of like Diddy merged with Jelly Roll, that'd be strange.
What?
I keep saying that this family is like a horror movie, literal horror movie behind the scenes. And what does his uncle have on his profile?
Don't hit your knees. Don't pretend to pray and think that that's going to save you.
Threats to women, talking about demonic stuff, Diddy stuff.
I've been shot 4 times.
When people show you who they are, believe them. Big Go team, and shout out to the women who screenshotted and screen recorded everything and had my back. Love y'all.
Alright, and we're gonna close the stream on her little song. I'm gonna jump over on YouTube. If you guys are watching and haven't subscribed yet, please like, share, subscribe, all that good bullshit. If anyone does want to support financially, you can do so at give me 1 second here. I'm losing my train of thought. You can do so at
Donald Trump is panicking as his top generals.
buymeacoffee.com/TeeJay Felony. And also at ko-fi.com/TeeJay Felony. And we're going to close it on her goofy ass song here. I'm just gonna give it a try here. This is fair use because I'm informing the public about Jelly Roll and his scandalous ways.
Speaking of the call, you got a problem, my boy, you gotta go. Just like she was willing to turn over Nicole Arber's podcast to me.
Keep your dirty hush money. You're a figment of a PR creation. Wolf in cheap clothing, new iteration. The bad guy got saved even though he's faking. And a huge tax break for every charity donation. The style should be studied, game well played. Everything you overcame is an adult choice you made. Every win you have is a normal person's day. Jelly Roll shaved, well hip hop hooray. You're a Christian couple but your wife's a witch. Preaching to hoes at orgies yelling switch. Says she's a bunny, really she's a bitch. 7 deadly sins is how y'all got rich. Cosplay Christians, moral clash. Say you found God but you really found cash. Cover up your crimes, got media on staff. Sad emoji promo pics making me laugh. You're always crying, not joy, it's rage. Cause you know your wife's banging all your friends backstage. You're making
I don't know if this is gonna get me stricken, like get this copyright stricken. Worst case scenario, I'm gonna have to chop it out. But I would think she would like people sharing her stuff, but I want to play it because the lyrics are really interesting.
Queen was featured on her OnlyFans page. No balls, 2 faces, Nicolas Cage. Never do a good deed without a camera. If I'm Camilla, guess that makes you Alabama. Say you changed, but you never meant it. Didn't give your life to Christ, you gave it to Ozempic. Keep playing big.
Yeah, she's based as fuck, dude. She's funny.
Time to flip the table on your lies. Praying all the children, really all the villain. Hollywood demon in disguise. Cosplay Christian, keep playing victim. Time to flip the table on your lies. Praying on the children, really all the villain. Hollywood demon in disguise. Once upon a time, not long ago, there was a drug dealer who married a hoe. Wanted to be famous, so he sold his soul. And his friend fell in love with a gun and a coat. His best friend, he had a lot of fans. So Big Man and Ho, they made a plan. Help his friend get the girl, should be a whiz. Then his best friend's fans, they will be his. When Nicole didn't feel it, she thought he was gay. Got a restraining order just to keep him away. Big Man and Ho said, we'll help your friend. If she won't love you, then we'll plot her end. We'll kill her career and take her life. She'll regret the day she refused to be your wife. His fans work for blood, they love gang stalking. But Big Man said, something bigger needs talking. Drug and rap games are made to last. But Christian rock and country are praying cash. I'll say I'm sorry, they'll think I'm legit.
What is a Christian rock and country or printing cash? I want to hear that lyric again. Dude, I have a serious issue with the country and music industry, and I resonated with everything she said. These lame ass alcohol companies buy these like the best example is who Brian what's the like every song is based on alcohol consumption, and it's just so artificial. Everything is manufactured and art. Not Daniel Bryan, Brian, what the fuck is that guy's name? What's up, Carlos? Should I start it over for Carlos?
The big man said something bigger.
Okay, Carlos, here's this story. Jelly Roll has a major enemy because this girl knew him before he became famous, and she's giving him a hard time telling all of his secrets. That's pretty much the backstory. I'll pull it back to the second verse.
Got a restraining order just to keep him away. Big man and ho said we'll help you, friend. If she won't love you, then we'll plot her end. We'll kill her career and take her life. She'll regret the day she refused to be your wife. His fans work for blood, they love gang stalking. But big man said something bigger needs talking. Drug and rap games are made to last, but Christian rock and country are praying cash. I'll say I'm saved, they'll think I'm legit.
Fuck the establishment. Fuck country radio. Fuck all that shit. Fuck country radio. Fuck all that shit.
Dude, this is him. This is him saying, fuck country radio, funk all that shit. Listen.
Fuck country radio. Fuck all that shit. Fuck all that shit. Fuck all that shit.
Christian, keep playing victim. Time to flip the table on your lies. Preying on the children, really all the villain. Hollywood demon in disguise. Cosplay Christian, keep playing victim. Time to flip the table on your lies. Preying on the children, really all the villain. Hollywood demon in disguise. Your veneers creep me out. Your veneers creep me out. Your veneers creep me out. It's like you ate a donkey and he's trying to get out. You lost some jelly, now you got a gun. Probably why you didn't have the guts to stab me in the front. I'm not a swinger like you. Consider this my butt. Your wife's pictures in the dictionary labeled under. You're wet Lizzo without the range. A used car salesman on the stage. A fraud feeding good people lies. You're coming in real life screaming, thank you guys. Jelly Roll, did you just yell?
Carmen in real life. I think she has him on recording saying the N-word a bunch too here. She plays more of him actual recording from him.
I could have sworn that you just said American Idol.
Yeah, there it is.
Why?
There it is.
Beefing with Tyler Farr, nigga.
Let's go back.
Live screaming, thank you guys. Jelly Roll, did you just yell? I could have sworn that you just said American Idol. Did he just yell? Why?
Cause you're beefing with Tyler Farr, nigga.
Opening a rehab when you're not sober. You're not sober. Kin stacks off people's tits. Oh, Mom's health said for the couple get skinny. Only dick in history, that is an innie. There's one thing I don't get. Let's put this to bed. How the hell were you a fat cokehead? Somebody call Guinness. They won't even fathom. You sold your wife's butthole to fund your Christian album. Did Jesus make you scream the N-word?
The allegation is his wife had an OnlyFans, and that was how they funded recording or some shit.
Two, did Jesus make you threaten women? You charged at me 3 times in my face, you spit. Call me Ghost Malone, I'ma haunt you with the shit.
Oh, I want to hear this part again about did Jesus make you do all this stuff? It's funny.
You a fat cokehead. Somebody call Guinness. They won't even fathom. You sold your wife's butthole to fund your Christian album. Did Jesus make you scream the N-word too? Did Jesus make you threaten women? You charged at me 3 times in my face, you spit. Call me Ghost Malone, I'ma haunt you with the shit. Cosplay Christian, keep playing victim. Time to flip the table on your lies. Preying on the children, really all the villain. Hollywood demon in disguise. Cosplay Christian, keep playing victim. Time to flip the table on your lies. Preying on the children, really all the villain. Hollywood demon in disguise. The friend you were repping for turned on you, and every damn thing I said was true. Keep it dirty, hush money, this is way more fun. Get your depends ready, this is...
Dude, she claims that he tried to offer her money to shut up.
Just round 1.
Cause you're beefing with Tyler Farr, nigga.
She's saying it's just round 1, y'all, so it looks like we're probably gonna get a round 2. Yeah, that's gonna be it for this show. That's all I got. I gotta save some stuff so I have things to talk about tomorrow. I appreciate everyone checking out the chat. Like always, you guys are awesome for the support I do get on these projects. If anyone watching back later wants to support, buymeacoffee.com/TeeJay Felony. And if anyone wants to pop over on X and join in on the spaces that I'm talking about, it's at Felony Talk on X. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. I might be over in a space later. So peace out. Thanks for hanging out, y'all.